Welcome back, and I hope I have got something for you today. I'm going to try something a little bit different here. A lot of my videos are usually theoretical type stuff. Don't usually do much actual training videos. But today I thought we'd try something a little bit different here. We got this little fella here who has never ever in his life had a bit in his mouth. And tonight we're going to put a bit in his mouth. Well, at least that's our plan. Now what I have here is, this is a Bitten Bridle. Now, to some of you, this is going to look a little odd because it looks like there's a whole lot missing. And compared to some bridles, there would be. But this one is just a single piece that goes up and around the pole and back down the other side, and one little loop that goes over the ear to hold it in place. Now, I purchased this one years ago because I thought, this might be a little more comfortable for the horse. And it's actually made out of a cotton. It's not leather, although it does have leather pieces on it. Most of it is made out of cotton, which I figured, well, it's a little softer. It'd be a little more comfortable for the horse, too, which is one of the reasons I bought it. Well, that, and it was relatively inexpensive and on sale. And, well, I haven't used it in years, but I thought I'd show it to you anyhow. This is what we're going to be using. And if you do plan on buying one of these types of halters, which some people use them, like I said, the simplicity of them is nice, not too much to them, relatively easy to work with. But they do have one drawback. I'm not saying don't use one, but just be forewarned, they do have a little bit of a drawback to them. And I have found that this material tends to soften and stretch out as it's been on the horse for a while. So on the side here, you got the adjustment for the length of it, just like you would on any bridle. And you may actually have to stop and tighten that up a tiny bit a couple of times as you're using it, depending on how long you got it on the horse. And then don't forget to loosen it up again before you try putting it on the horse again, or it's going to be way too tight and you'll have all kinds of problems. Get into that in a bit, but okay, this is what we're going to be using. Relatively simple apparatus, just one piece, makes it a little easier to actually put it on, and just one bit and a chin strap. Typical array. I'll get back to you. Set that down over there for a minute. Now, like I said, this is the horse we're going to be using, and he has never had anything in his mouth. Well, not a bit anyhow, and now, whether or not you use a bit, now I don't, so I mean, this is actually kind of pointless to me, but I'm showing it to you for your benefit, and because the bit isn't the only thing that you're going to need to stick in the horse's mouth from time to time. You may want to take a look at the teeth. You may want to worm it. You may want to give it some medications. There's a lot of reasons that you might want to be able to get things in the horse's mouth. And so that's kind of what this is all about. Putting the bit in is just kind of the end result. We're going to start at the beginning here. Now, in order to get him used to things in his mouth, well, he's pretty good about being handled and everything too. But for some horses, you might actually have to have a bridle on. And, well, in extreme cases, you might even need a second person to give you a hand and hang on to that bridle, because you might need both hands for what we're about to do here. In his case, he's pretty cool. I can just put one hand over the nose to keep him from moving his head around. And what I'm going to do is, there is a gap between the incisors and the molars in there where the bit normally would sit, and it's right about even with the back of the mouth there. I'm going to just slide my thumb in there. Now, he's not going to like it too much at first. And you can see he's trying to push it out with his tongue. He's turning his head and everything. But, well, he's settling down a little quicker now. We've done this a couple times with him. But with him, all it takes is my hand on his nose to keep him from moving his head too far. Now we're going to do it from both sides so that he gets used to this from both sides, because that bit's going to be going out both sides in mouth, so we may as well get used to that. And we're just going to slide our thumb in the other side. He's going to fuss about it a little bit. And we just keep doing this until he stops fussing. There we go, like that. And then we take our thumb out of his mouth. There we go. Good man. And we'll just keep repeating this process. And for some horses, just putting your thumb on the outside of the mouth might be enough to get him reacting. Like I said, my fly spray video, it's like any desensitizing. You get to the point where the horse starts to react and you don't go any further. Don't force yourself on the horse. You know, we're not going to force anything on the horse. We're going to go nice and slow. So now we're going to do this again with him. And he's got his head down. He's trying to avoid my thumb. He knows what's coming. And we're just going to slowly slide it in. There we go. Good boy. There we go. Get so far, and then he says, yeah, I don't like that thing. And he's trying to push it out with his tongue. Good man. There we go. Oh, going to have a second little bout there. My thumb's in a little bit further this time, too. And that's something else you might want to do, is do that in stages. And, no, the thumb's not going away, sir. There we go. Good man. Now I'll take the thumb out of his mouth. And a horse won't bite you there. You know, it's perfectly safe because there's a fairly large gap in there where there's no teeth. You can stick your thumb in there and it's not going to hurt you one little bit. Good man. Back up a little. Just got to reposition him here a little bit so we're in front of the camera so you can see what we're doing. Don't want to go off camera. And I don't want to have to stop and move the camera. I'd rather move the horse because he needs to learn how to do this stuff anyhow. He's a little stressed out right now, so he's not really listening to my cues real well. There we go. Much better. Oh, no. He knows what's coming. He says, oh, I'm going to turn my head the other way. But you're going to have to keep doing this. And you know, like I said, our ultimate goal here is when we're done is we're going to have a bit in this horse. And I'm going to show you a few things about putting a bit in the horse's mouth that, well, there's more than to it. It's kind of like I said with the fly spray. There's a lot going on. Same thing with putting a bit in the horse's mouth. There's a few things going on. You need to break it down a little bit into individual elements. I've done it before with people that have had problems getting the horse to take a bit after it had been doing it well for a while. Started having problems, and next thing you know, they're like, can't get the horse to take a bit anymore. Well, we fixed that problem by breaking it down, because one of the things that he's quite persistent here. He does not want that in his mouth, but he's got to get used to it. There we go. Good man. Oh, one last little fuss there. No, you good now? Okay, good man. There we go. Good man. A good little fella. And in their case, they'd already been riding the horse, and then it suddenly started refusing to accept the bit. So I broke it down. I got rid of the saddle. I got rid of the reins. I got rid of the bridle. All I had was the bit itself. And I started there. And it wasn't long that, well, when you get rid of all the other stuff, that the horse was connecting to the bit. The bit itself wasn't the problem at all. It was actually the horse was a little more concerned about being ridden, period. I won't elaborate on that, but once you eliminate all the other things that indicate it's about to be ridden, the bit itself wasn't an issue anymore. It was just the last thing that they did after they'd put all the other stuff on, and then they tried putting the reins, headstall, and bit and everything all on at the same time. And, well, that was just too much. So, anyhow, I'll show you that when we get to it, but we're going to work on this again because, like I said, even if you don't use a bit, you may have to check his teeth, you may have to give him meds, you may want to worm him. You're going to want to be able to get things into his mouth without ending up with half of it on the floor and having all kinds of problems. And again, you might have to actually halter the horse to do this so that you can keep from moving away too much. And, like I said, in his case, I don't have to, but you might have to. And, in fact, you might even need a second person, depending how bad the horse reacts. Now, we're going to go do it again. We've given him a little break. He's already anticipating it. He's trying to duck his head down to get away from it. No, we're just going to keep doing that. There we go. Much quicker response that time. And we're just going to leave our thumb in there for a bit. There we go. Good man. There we go. That's a good guy. And we're just going to keep repeating this process for a while. Now, we're actually going to, I think I'll just stop the camera here, work on this for a while, because we're going to repeat it quite a few times before we try introducing the bit. That's another mistake people make, is they get too big a hurry to put that bit in. Get the horse ready for the bit first. That's what we're going to do, and that's going to take a while and quite a few repetitions of what I just finished showing you, and I'll get back to you in a minute. Okay, so we've been messing around with his mouth for a little while here. I'll just show you some of the things we've been doing. Like I said before, just slipping my thumb in the corner. Can't even see you there. Oh. We're not in a very good position. We need to back up a little bit more. Oops. Yeah, I've been messing around with them for a little while here. Not a whole long time. And just doing more of the same thing. I'll just show you a couple other things you can do is, playing with his lips, playing with his face, just getting him used to having his mouth handled in general and that sort of thing so that, as if you would, checking his teeth and, administering wormer or medications, that sort of thing. And then every once in a while you slip your thumb in there. And thumb in the corner there into the mouth, that's something that it's going to come in handy for putting the bit in too, because in my experience, one of the reasons I don't really like the things is if the horse isn't super good about taking the bit, you might need 3 hands to do it. Well, at least it seems that way, for me anyhow. So I'm going to go get my bit here. And I said before, I like to break things down to little manageable pieces. Get this all straightened around here. Okay, that's the way it goes. Now there's a few different ways of doing this. Let's back him up a little bit more here. There we go. There's a few different ways of doing this I've seen, and how you hold the bit and everything else, and depending on what stage the horse is at. For the beginning stage like this, might be a little easier to hold on to the 2 rings. Normally, if the horse is reasonably good about taking the bit, you can just kind of lay it across your hand like that, and then just present it to them that way. And basically, you put the bit right about where the teeth are, where the teeth meet the upper and lower teeth, and there we go. Now you can see he's not too crazy about it. Now I'm just gently holding the bit in place. I'm not yanking back on or anything. Don't do that sort of thing. That might cause more problems. I'm just going to very gently hold it there until he calms down a little bit. And as soon as he does, I'm going to take it out of his mouth again. You done yet, dear sir? This might take a minute because this is a new experience having this hunk of metal in his mouth, and it's kind of weird. There we go. Okay. So as soon as he settles down, that makes the bit go away. Resisting does not make the bit go away. Okay, it's like anything you do. You don't want him to learn that resisting makes it go away. Resisting does not make it go away. He can fuss about it all he wants as long as he wants, and that's where you need a lot of patience. So, but the only thing we did was put the bit in his mouth. That's it. And if I was more ambitious, I'd just take the bit off and use the bit by itself. Nothing but the bit. Because I don't care about the chin strap. I don't care about the bridle right now. All I care about is the bit. And we're going to do this again. The way you do it is you kind of get the bit right lined up to where his upper and lower teeth meet. And another little trick you can use is you can actually take and stick your thumb in the corner of the mouth. That will generally get them to open up their mouth enough to be able to get the bit in. Now this can be a challenge sometimes, especially if you haven't got a halter on the horse. And oh, by the way, you can put a bridle over top of a halter, even though a lot of people think that is unacceptable. If he keeps throwing his head up like that, that's exactly what we're going to do right now. Because we don't want him learning that if he throws his head way up in the air that he can avoid that bit. And that's exactly what was just about to happen there. So we'll stop that before it becomes a problem. I was hoping I would be able to get away without using a bridle, or using a halter, I should say, and lead on him. I don't like to if I don't have to. But if not using one means that I can't stop him from learning the wrong thing. And I'm just going to put one foot on it in the end of the lead, so I still have my hands. I'm not going to hold on it. Like I said, you may need a second person. It would be a lot easier. So now we're going to go at this again. And get the bridle and the chin strap out of the way. Yes, sir. And just going to see if we can get this thing right where his teeth meet, upper and lower. That's where you want the bit. Just hold it there for a minute. And if he doesn't open his mouth, sometimes they will. If not, you stick your thumb in the corner of the mouth. That will generally prompt them to open their mouth. And then there you go. Bit's in. Now, obviously, he's still not real happy about it, so that's where we're gonna quit, right there. We'll move on in a minute, though. There we go. Perfect. Oh, by the way, I'm not even standing on the lead anymore. Now, this time, I think I'm going to try putting the bridle on. In order to do that, we want it positioned so that it's ready to just flip over. But we don't want to, some people will come at a horse with the bridle holding it up in front of the horse like that. With him, I might be able to. Obviously, it doesn't bother him too much. But that can cause problems, too. And like I say, you want to break things down as much as possible. You'll also notice I don't have any reins attached to this either. I do have a set. They're sitting right over there. They're handy, and we're going to put them on when we're done here. But at the moment, we are simply going to put this thing, well, of course, you start with just a bit. Then we are going to add the bridle to that. And this is a little tricky sometimes because you got to feel where the teeth meet. And I've always found this to be just a bit of a task. And some of you may know of better ways of doing things. There we go. Good man. Okay. Now we have got the bit in. Now we are going to try putting the bridle on. Now, I'm still using one hand to hold the bit in place. I got my thumb on one side, my fingers on the other side on the rings. Now we're going to lift this up over his head, slowly, gently, not too fast. There we go. Good man. There we go. There we go. There. That's a good man. There you go. And it is perfectly acceptable to put a bridle over top of a halter. It's quite easy to do, quite acceptable. It was common practice in the military. They always did it. Every one of the military horses had a bridle over top of the halter. That way they didn't have to unbridle the horse to tie it up for the night. They could just stop, get off the horse. They had a lead that was tied onto the bridle around the neck. They had something called a Cavalry Knot. They had it looped around the neck a couple times and then tied. I don't know exactly how they did it. Not familiar with that one, but I do know that that's what they did. And he's still fussing a little bit with it, but that's okay. He's getting used to it. And your horse, if it's new to a bit, it's quite likely it's going to be doing a lot of mouthing like this. And they will continue doing that. Now, we got a chin strap, we got the bridle, we got the bit in. The only thing we're missing is the reins. So, and that is why I actually have them here. We're gonna add the reins. Oh, you stay there, sir. Back up a little. There we go. And these are just clip-ons. Actually, these ones are a little dirty because they haven't been used in quite a while. They're a little dusty. But just going to clip them on there. Throw it over the other side. And again, these are roping reins, one piece. You can get these clips that that I put on the end of them. You can put them on the end of any type of rein. Oh, get over here. I'm off camera. These clips here that I've got on the end of these reins, you can actually buy them separately and put them onto the end of any type of reins. You can use split reins. You can use roping reins. Whatever you got. Most of them don't have anything on the end of them when you get them. But there you go. A horse that has never ever in his life had a bit in his mouth. Excuse me, sir. I might have to pick this thing up, keep him from wandering. Something's got his attention over there. Oh, there's somebody out back there. That's okay. But where was I now? Oh, yes. A matter of about 15 minutes ago, this horse had never in his life had anything in his mouth. We have now got bit, bridle, and reins on him. And that's how you do it, just one piece at a time, a little patience. The first step is just getting him used to having something in his mouth before you try putting a bit in his mouth. And that might take a while before they get really used to having their mouth handled and thumb stuck in there and all this stuff. Then when you finally do get them to accept having something in the mouth, just a bit, then you can add the bridle and the chin strap and everything else and eventually the reins. But, like anything, do it one piece at a time, break it down as much as possible. So there you go folks. Untrained horse that's never had a bit, now has a bit. That's how it's done. Hope you enjoyed that one. It's just showing you that it's simpler than you think. Subscribe and click on the notifications. Make sure you get all. Have a good day.